Whoa, what a great song. I love that. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Buffalo Boys. No, we're doing it. We're going. This is the official WPFL podcast. It is your host, Ryan, along with Todd. We're happy to be here. Todd, how are you feeling today?
Feeling great, man. It's week 2. It's already podcast number 2. They said it couldn't be done, but here we are. We're gonna keep plugging on through, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. And you should be feeling good after that incredible victory you had in week 1, but we are going to get more into that in a few minutes. But for now, we have a very special guest in the building. And when I say the building, I mean his building. Our first guest on the Buffalo Boys podcast, it is Nixon Ball, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Nixon, how are you?
Welcome, Nixon.
Woo!
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Before we begin, Nixon, what are you sipping on there?
Well, I'm kind of a dry boy, so I have a cherry Coke Zero, and that's kind of a special treat for me these days. I don't have much soda, even no sugar kind, so
look at you.
Getting wild.
Todd, what about yourself? Drinking anything interesting?
The tried and true Old Faithful daily drinker of Old Forester.
Great one. I'm also a dry boy today. I'm having some pomegranate juice. I heard that's very good for your health. It's also delicious. All right. Well, Nixon, as Todd and I did during week 1, we wanted to sort of ask you about your history of football, of fantasy, and of course, your favorite team. Everyone knows the Carolina Panthers.
I feel like I'm kind of the classic, indoctrinated by your dad kind of football fan. I don't really remember before the Panthers, but I do remember being really little, like kindergarten, and being vaguely aware that my dad had done something with the Panthers, buying something with them, and that I now know as an adult was season tickets, basically. They called them personal seat licenses, and that was sort of how they funded the stadium. And my dad was a day one adopter for the Panthers for that. So I kind of just, got force fed it from an early age, and I have occasionally been glad about that and mostly sad about it.
How did you come to found and become the commissioner of this great league that we're all a part of, the Westmark Fantasy Football League?
Honestly, Ryan, you might be able to help me answer this question. I don't know. I remember that I started a fantasy football league on Yahoo or something with a bunch of the guys that we were friends with in middle school, way back in the day. And then that was super casual and ultimately sort of fell apart. And then I remember that in early high school, we were in this league that was commissioned by a guy named Brock, who literally just cheated. He literally just went in and changed scores for a couple of guys that he was better friends with. I don't know. Were you in that league? I think maybe Dave was. Definitely some people from WPFL were in that league.
I do not remember that. I feel like that's something that I would remember. Wow, what a controversy.
Yeah. He was in. He was just wasn't taking it seriously, and he I think just thought it would be funny. But at about that time, we were starting to be old enough to where we actually sort of processed and, we're starting to sort of understand fantasy football and how it actually worked. So it was kind of frustrating to have this league that just didn't make sense after playing in leagues for years where probably honestly nobody checked the lineup after the auto draft, basically. And so coming out of that league that Brock commissioned, I don't know if I ran a league that same year, but coming out of that, it was kind of all right, I'm going to run a league that's actually serious, and we're not going to be changing scores and stuff like that. Who wants to join that league? And like I said, definitely some people from WPFL were in that Brock league, and we're in that first iteration. I want to say that you were. I think Dave probably was. Definitely several other people. Sorry if I'm forgetting OGs.
And WPFL was established in 07. And
We
it's
think roughly
Yes.
07. We had a conversation one time, like, oh, when did we start doing this thing? And like 07 was the best approximate we can come up with. That's why the league name on ESPN is approximately 07, because we don't actually know. And definitely some people in this league were playing fantasy football with me way back before that, but we had no idea, just no idea what was going on.
Absolutely.
I remember it starting in 11th grade, so that checks out.
Oh, yeah.
This kind of goes into my next question. You mentioned how the league has been around for a while. Have there been other iterations before? Many founding members who are no longer with us, still alive, but just not in the league. Who is one owner in all of WPFL history that you wish could come back?
I mean, I have a couple. I'm always really sad when anybody ever leaves the league. I don't know. It's about the friendships for me, guys. But it actually really is. I think Dane is the name that jumps out to mind for me, because he definitely was in all of those early iterations.
Mhm.
And I know for me and you, Ryan, he was a really good friend of ours when we were younger, and I've just kind of lost touch with him a little bit. And for all those reasons, I wish that he was still in it. I'm gonna give Colin a shout out too, just because I feel like he's been a core part of the group for a long time, and I thought that he was a really good member in every way, except for that he was missing one requirement, which is that don't make a mockery of the league. He just didn't quite take the actual gameplay serious enough. Everything else, I thought he was a great league member personally. So. Yeah, those are the two guys that stand out to me.
Two great choices. Shout out to Dan and Colin.
Yeah. Shout out the Simpsons' dad as well,
That's right.
I miss Cam. Cam was a no-show for so long, barely talked, but meeting him in person, he was a quality guy, and he was doing all right for a bit.
Yeah, to imagine that at one time we thought two of the league members were actually made up by Adler, and then they turned out to both be real. Just absolutely incredible. Really still mind-blowing when I think about it.
Almost as mind-blowing as Doug marrying his fake girlfriend.
All right, Nixon. Well, final question. We are going to offer this to all of our guests in the upcoming season. But if you have one sentence for the league, one thing you'd like to tell them, what comes to mind? Anything?
Hey, Buffalo Boys fans. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Todd and I had a great conversation with Nixon this week. If you want to hear the full chat, where we discuss Nixon's playing days, his favorite Panther, his biggest regret as commissioner, and much, much more, tune into Owner Orientation. These full chats with WPFL owners will drop on Sundays throughout the season. Our conversation with Nixon will be dropping this Sunday. Again, thanks for listening, and now, back to the show.
All right, Todd, moving on to our regular segments. This one is Quality Control Coach of the Week. Tell the people a little bit about what that is and who your selection is.
Thanks, Ryan. For all of our new listeners, which is pretty much everyone at this point, Quality Control Coach of the Week is our award for the coach who made the best lineup, basically. They came well prepared, they did their homework, and had a little bit of luck. This week, hate to do it, but giving the award to you, Ryan. You set your optimal lineup. There couldn't have been a better one. And you successfully avoided a large landmine, which was Devonta Smith with 0 points on the game. A lot of people had them in their lineups. A lot of people were hurting. You were not one of them. Congrats.
Thank you, Todd. I don't know why you hate to give that award to me, but I feel great about it. So thank you so much. Now, moving on to the person who was not Quality Control Coach of the Week, it is our Clown Owner of the Week.
So Clown Owner is exactly as it sounds. You should be embarrassed. And the person that should be embarrassed is Mims. He left 41 points on the bench. 41. But I do want to throw out a solid runner-up in Dave. After his snafu of drafting 2 kickers, he left them on his roster instead of actually picking a better player. Dave, you don't need 2 kickers. Fix it.
All right, 2 clown owners of the week. We're off to a great 2022. I love it. All right, so as some of our viewers know, last week we did a bold prediction section, which we will also have one this week later on in the show. But we wanted to recap some of those bold predictions. So Todd, take us away.
So Ryan, I predicted that my breakout team would all break out. And they almost did. They were right there. They were so close. Ironically, for my Packers love, my Packers defense let me down. Definitely some snafus in their zone coverage. I think it's going to get fixed. It's looking positive for the long term. You know, they're learning. They're going to be fine. And then Edmonds missed by 0.7. So I'm going to consider this largely a successful bold prediction. And my team as a whole beat their projection by 22.5 points. So suck it, ESPN.
Well, I was a homer just like you, Todd. And yeah, Jonathan Taylor, as I predicted, did really well. He just loves playing against Houston. He had 31 carries, 161 yards, and a touchdown, 25.5 fantasy points for me, right in the middle of the 2 performances he had against Houston last season. So yeah, feeling really good about that bold prediction. All right, Todd. Well, you have some more stats for the listeners at home in a new segment we're calling Quick Hit Stats. Hit me.
Gladly. Thanks, Ryan. Just going to fly by these, not going to give analysis. They're just going to be stats. You know, Hoyle loves my stats, so we're going to hit him with it. Up first, AJ beat his projection by the most of anyone in the league and got the number 1 overall spot, finishing 25 points above his projection. Good work, AJ. Number 2, Chris Boswell, kicker, and Cade York were the number 2 and 3 kickers on the week, and they're unowned. Check that waiver wire. Young Ho was number 1, and he's the GOAT, so keep it up, Young Ho. Speaking of unowned, Steelers were the number 1 defense, and not even our local fan over here would even roster them, so they're sitting on the waiver wire this week. But careful, TJ Watt's out. Next up, 4 out of the 14 quarterback ones were unowned. Why are you rostering Aaron Rodgers, league? He could only score 3 points. Next up, half of the tight end ones, half of them, 7. I repeat, 7 out of 14 tight end ones on the week were unowned. Clearly, this league doesn't know how to value tight ends, or tight ends suck. I don't know.
I'm surprised that Neil didn't pick up a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has room on his bench, given that he had no talent down there, especially after dropping Kenny Gainwell. Next up, Jimmy has the notoriety of having the least bench points of anyone in week 1. His bench could only muster 6.1 points. Consider your bench, Jimmy. Next up, the Tampa Bay Bucks lost their starting left tackle, and the Cowboys lost another lineman. Those are some shaky lines at this point. Real NFL stats, shared this in the group me, but worth repeating. Chiefs had 33 first downs Sunday on 66 offensive plays. Every other play was a first down. Also in that game was the highest percentage of plays Mahomes has been blitzed. No one blitzes Mahomes that much, and they paid for it. Lastly, another Chiefs stat. Chiefs had 2 tight ends on the field 40% of the plays, which doubled their average of last season. No Tyreek? No problem. Here's one. Bengals ran 94 plays on offense on Sunday. That's the highest one-game total since 2002.
And they still lost.
And they still lost.
Go Steelers. The steel curtain is back, Todd. Mark my words.
I heard that Joe Burrow just sat at his locker for an hour after the game, not getting undressed, not doing anything, just staring off in the distance. Last stat here for you guys. Only the Cowboys failed to score a touchdown in week 1. They're a landmine. Stay away from the Cowboys.
Yeah, as a Cowboys hater, I love that stat. I think that is a fantastic stat. I would love to hear it next week if we are so lucky. I guess we'll see. Thanks for those, Todd. All right, Todd. Well, it is time for our Game of the Week segment. I know you've been giving this one some thought. Give me your Game of the Week.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So I'm going to jump in and say, not to put Nixon on the spot, but I think Nixon and Mims game this week is worthy of the spotlight here. We have a game that is projected to have some pretty tight scores. I think the rosters are pretty even. They both have their glaring holes and issues right now. And for what it's worth, Nixon has beat Mims the last 2 years. So Mims has a lot on the line right here, unless if he wants a new rival. Nixon's won 135 to 124 and 124 to 121. So Nixon clearly likes to show up against Mims. So I'm excited to see what he can do this week.
Absolutely. I'm going to agree with you. This is also my game of the week. As you remember in episode 1, Mims is who I'm rooting for besides myself to be the champion this year. And as it's standing right now, Tuesday night, he's supposed to lose to Balls. So if he goes down 0-2, I mean, a playoff run is looking tough. So yeah, this is a big game for Mims and obviously a show me game for Nixon.
I am worried for Mims, though, heavily reliant on Tampa Bay, and they lost their left tackle, Donovan Smith. So already beat up line is further depleted here. So especially with the tough New Orleans defense, it's not looking promising.
Listen, I hate to bring it up again. I brought it up in episode 1. Mims picked basically everyone from the Bucks that I had last year that won me the championship, thinking that it would also bring him glory, but he ain't the one. You know what I mean? He's not the champ. So
yeah, failed in week 1. So
best of luck to you, though.
Nixon, do you have any response? Are you nervous with the spotlight on y'all?
I'm not nervous with the spotlight on me, but I am nervous about the game. I think you guys are being too nice to me. Honestly, I'm just trying to be objective and realistic here. I am not that worried about the offensive line situation for the Bucks. I was worried about it coming into the season, but I don't think that one additional injury makes it that much worse than it was going into the Cowboys game, where they were totally fine for fantasy. I do worry, however, about Alvin Kamara going against their defense, which has been a really good run defense for the last couple of years. And obviously everybody knows it. I have a tight end problem. Seattle, it's even worse than I thought, though, because Seattle is clearly using not one, but 2 other guys based on Monday night. So, yeah, my lineup has some problems. It's got some matchup problems this week, and I'm not as worried about Men's team as you guys seem to be. So, I'm not feeling too great. We'll see how waivers go tonight.
Best of luck, Nixon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now moving forward, looking forward into week 2. I know you're excited about week 2, Todd. So am I. We're doing matchup rundown. I would love to hear your thoughts about the matchups we've got in the league in week 2. So start us off.
All right, I'm going to run through each game, and you can let me know your thoughts as well. In the first game, I got me winning over Dave. I think it's going to be a really close match. I think it's definitely 2 powerhouses, but I think my team breaks out once again.
All right. I am going with Dave on this one. Josh Allen is supposed to have a really good game. He's projected to beat you by 5 points. I guess we will see. We're obviously recording this on Tuesday before the waiver wire moves are done. But my pick is Dave.
Excellent. Next match is Ryan and Mike S. I'm taking you, Ryan. Mike is, too injured, but I will say he's great at the waiver wire. Lots can change between now and Sunday, so keep a lookout. He might be able to pull a trick or 2.
Yeah, I'm also picking myself. I think Patty Mahomes and Jonathan Taylor are going to have big games like they did in week 1. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this matchup against Mike.
Next match that we have is Nixon over Mims. We talked about this one already, but just to reiterate, we got Nixon. For our next matchup, we've got Doug and Neil. I've got Doug overcoming Neil. Neil's roster is tough right now, already hit with injuries, and his top players, his tight ends, both have tough matchups. It's gonna be tough. Cam Akers is still battling into the lineup. There's not a whole lot that Neil can count on in this game.
Yeah, sorry, Neil. Your 2-star tight ends are not going to help you against Doug. Doug's going 2-0 with the help of Lamar Jackson. He's going to have a big game.
I'm afraid we're just sticking together here, Ryan. Not much controversy. Maybe we'll spice it up over the last 3 matches. We got AJ and Rick up next. I've got AJ. It's hard to go against that momentum. And Cup is going up against Atlanta. Cup's going to destroy them. He's WR1 on the week. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah, there's going to be another 2-0 team after week 2 in the league, and that's going to be AJ.
Our next matchup is Adler and Hoyle. It's hard to see Hoyle having any success here behind a broken Cowboys offensive line and no Dak for the Cowboys, and half of his running backs are for the Cowboys. So I'm going with Adler here.
You know what? I think Adler's team looks good, but I'm feeling short shorts on this one. I think Mike somehow is going to pull it out.
Bold take. Maybe we should have a bet on this one.
No, thanks.
Next time. Our last game is Forrest and Jimmy. I see this as a bounce back game for my number 1 overall projection on the season, Forrest. Forrest is going to come back strong. I just don't see it for Jimmy.
Yeah, I agree. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a good game, and I'm really worried about the Denver Broncos after that performance on Monday night. I mean, the fact that they couldn't call a timeout, they let 30 seconds run off the clock. I mean, Russell Wilson should know better in that situation, and they just totally blew it. I mean, I'm really worried about this team. So, yeah, sorry, Jimmy. It's going to be Forrest this week. All right, Todd, now we have breakout of the week. Just a reminder to our listeners, this is any player or team that we think is going to have a really big week 2. Todd, let's start with you. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go off of week 1 success here. And even though you don't like the Broncos, I'm going to go with Javonte here. Javonte had 11 targets in week 1, or was it 12? It was 11 or 12 targets in week 1, which was the 6th most of any player, wide receiver, running back, or tight end, and obviously the most for any running back. With that many targets, he's in line for way more success. You know, all it takes is one injury to Melvin or a better game script, and he's going to have a huge week.
Yeah, my breakout, or more like bounce back of the week, is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Really bad week 1, but I think against the Bears, he is going to go off. An angry Rodgers is a dangerous Rodgers, I believe. I think you would agree with that. Yeah, I'm picking Aaron Rodgers.
Love to hear it.
Last segment of episode 2, week 2, it is bold predictions.
Our bold predictions were rock solid last week, and we're going to keep that up this week. I have what will definitely be perceived as a lukewarm / not actually bold, but bold for the Giants prediction is that the Giants go 2-0. They defeat the hometown favorites, the Panthers, and it'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, my bold prediction is to watch the Monday night game between Philly and Minnesota. I think this is going to be the game of the week. Both teams did really well in week 1. I can't wait to see how they match up against each other. I think this is going to be must-watch football. So my bold prediction is this will be the game of the week.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, that is episode 2 of Buffalo Boys. Good luck to you, Todd. Hope your team does well. Hope our bold predictions do well. Hope all of our predictions do well.
And I hope that no one in our league gets buffaloed this week.
Absolutely. Yes. To all those listeners at home, thanks for sticking with us. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And we will see you all next week.